I'll tell you what though, we've got Dave Geeling who's trying to his best in that number 2 machine to catch Christian Aranha in that number 9 car, and he's getting close, but he's just getting those last couple of attempts to get to the point where he can get that draft, and he's almost hitting a brick wall at the moment. Not literally, thankfully, otherwise he'd be out the race, but he's getting almost there, almost there. He needs just a couple more attempts to be able to put up behind him, and that's the battle for 4th and 5th in the DP class at the moment. And give that 5 or 6 laps, that could turn out to be a really interesting battle on the racetrack.
Okay, so we're on board Dave now, on board Dave Gilling, chasing down Christian Runner. This is the battle for 4th position. Just about to go off the oval now into turn number 1. Oh, a little long. And a little twitch from Dave there. It's a difficult combination of corners. Yeah,
no doubt about it. Turn 1, 2, that entire complex coming down towards International Horseshoe is so tricky. I was speaking with some friends and teammates the other day about the best way to take it, and every driver just has a completely different way of doing it. And obviously at the same time then you've got to tune your setup to your driving style to your setup, and it's a constant never-ending process of how to approach that corner. And again, as the fuel run goes on, you might need to move your brake bias forward or backward. And I tell you what, there's not that many more difficult corners that requires that much concentration. As you know, just one little twitch to the left too far, you could be spinning down into that pit wall or out the race.
Okay, so back on the bank and over now on the back straight, heading up towards the bus stop. Dave's last lap, although there was quite a bit of traffic, was a 1:37.7, and Christian's 1:38.084.
Right, he's definitely got the draft now. Come on, put the power down, and there you are. You've almost got the draft there. Almost.
That's going to be hard. That's going to be hard. I fear that it's not enough to get him in the first turn.
Yeah, you're not going to get draft, but now you can use that for the next 2 or 3 laps. You know, try and build a little bit closer each time by, eke a couple of attempts out, and now he's got that draft. I expect him to close quite dramatically over the next couple of laps, because he's been very fast by himself.
Okay, so back to the TV camera now, showing them getting ever closer and closer. We can
and
see
that
now
yo-yo effect.
16 cars still. It's still up to 16 cars. Team is the last one to be lapped.
That yo-yo effect must be so annoying if you're the car behind. You know, seeing, oh, I'm so close, and the driver ahead just managed to get in that power a little bit earlier, and all of a sudden the gap's gone up to 5 or 6 car lengths. As these drivers must have so much blind faith. They're turning into corners that's flat out with Mustang on the outside, and doesn't even look like they're lifting or breathing off the throttle at all. They're just turning in and hoping that it'll all stick together. And thankfully so far, it's been very clean racing between the Mustangs and the Rileys, between themselves and intra-class, and I think we've only seen 1 or 2 instances of there being issues between the 2 classes, Rob.
Yeah, for the most part, a lot of drivers, a few of the drivers have been commentating on the fact that, or commenting on some of the Mustang manoeuvres, but then saying that, we have had some pretty ballsy moves from the Riley drivers. Certainly going either side of any of the Mustang drivers is a pretty risky manoeuvre.
Well, I think the night is just a major point in this, as, well, the rear view mirrors are not that big, and in a Mustang you cannot consistently be aware of what's going on behind you. So you want to keep your own car on the track, of course, and especially when you guys said it, turn 1 braking is also not that easy in the Mustang, and especially you've got a heavier car. You've maybe not got that much speed, but that doesn't really make it any easier. So you have to keep your own car on the track, and well, then you've got Rileys behind you who are probably in a battle, like we've seen with Dave Geeling and Christian Aranha. And well, they don't want to lose any time, so you might be the victim of a crash if it comes heart to heart, so you better just leave the gap and lose a few tenths yourself, so just to ensure that you will not be taken out as a victim of the fight which the Riley had.
And you made a very good point there that about the rear view mirrors, and at the end of the day, you don't want to be rear view mirror driving for 2.5 hours. It's the worst feeling ever. Just be constantly looking in your mirrors and not being able to look forward and seeing where you are in relation to all the other cars ahead. And that's the thing that I keep on bringing up. You know, yes, the Riley's having a great battle, and in some ways the Mustangs can be seen as moving chicanes, but at the same time, these Mustangs are having battles for themselves. You know, they want to get championship honours. They want to win this race. If you constantly look in the back mirror, as you see there, Mustang cutting across the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, and there's the draft.
Yeah,
that is exactly what I meant.
You know, if you're a Mustang, you've still got your own race to win.
And as we've seen that, maybe we could suspect that Dave Gling could be quicker, but as he's almost got the draft now, he's just lost it in a very severe way. Maybe lost about a second, just because the Mustang, of course, cannot vanish from the racetrack, and he had to wait, not risking anything, and his lap time is about 1.5 seconds slower than it would have been usually. So without any mistakes from him, that is a severe time loss.
For some reason, it's the only corner that has a name on this track, and I'd like to know why. If you do know the reason why, that's the only corner that has a proper turn name, and it's not just called Turn 1, Turn 2, Turn 3. Please tweet us using the hashtag Glacier TV. I'll be very interested to know the answer to that.
Well, I'm still sticking what I said last week on the Continental Endurance Sports Car race from Daytona Road, which they drew this infield on a packet of fags.
They probably did. Obviously, at the time, it had to be a packet of Winston fags, but you never know. It is so nice, though, this new layout. You do see they've replicated the Ferris wheel and a couple of other features on the racetrack. So nice to see the job that they've done here. This new smooth banking has had an entire new layer of racing, not only to the oval side of things where they can do the new two-car tandeming, but also here in the road side of things where drafting up to another cars is completely changed, and because of that, the setups have completely changed as well. You used to be able to go down a very specific route, and now so many setup variables have been thrown wide into the open.
Okay, so I believe Dave is now in the tow. He's now in the tow of Christian.
And a very funny message has just been posted by Constanan in the iRacing text chat that Samuel has just woken up as he's closed the gap to just over 3 seconds now to Andreas in P1. So as you see there, the Mustang
and Gilling fast.
Yeah, Dave managed to just get past. Perfect car placement there.
That was a surprise for a runner, clearly.
It does show that if you can navigate your way through traffic, how much faster you can be. And Dave probably just saw that opportunity coming, and I think he was a bit early on the brakes, being a bit cautious, and just managed to swing it down the inside there.
And that is exactly what we've been talking about a few minutes ago. We've seen Eric Foss and Todd Carver in the Mustangs, and they are fighting for the 4th position as Foss is closing in a bit. And, well, Eric Foss wouldn't let the Rileys pass too easily, as he's also trying to get further in his race. So we've got like 2 simultaneous races going on, and well, the Rileys just interfered the Mustangs, and that's what we've seen. Gehling passed the runner.
But let's not forget that Dave isn't in the clear, because now Christian has got that draft coming to come through the bus stop, and if Christian can line himself up well, you see he takes a tighter line in, but then straddles the exit on exit.
That's going to be close.
Yeah, he's not going to get the toe this time by. It does look as though Dave managed to pull just about car length away at the start of that.
Come to speak of that, they are just going to pass Philip Geis and Paolo Valente, actually fighting for the 2nd place in the Mustang class. And the track is absolutely jammed into turn 1.
Yeah.
And I think that was the reason why, because Andres did have to avoid a spinning Riley from Norbert.
Ooh, and Valente go very wide and through the middle. Oh my god! Oof.
That was intense there.
Ooh, and the track still is absolutely jammed. And Geis is also past Valente. Now the Mustangs had in favor, and almost Valente is very sideways out of the turn there. That has been very close, and Geis takes the 2nd position out of this fight.
Marius, I mean, how much practice do you need to, you know, in circumstances like that in endurance racing, to be able to immediately react to moments like that?
Well, like we've seen, it comes down to a split-second decision. So if you not got your eyes everywhere, you might just turn in a bit too much and hit the relay off, or hit your fighting car off, or anything. So you have to be aware of anything, and I think that's not to be learned in a few weeks of time. And come to speak of Philip Geis, he's also a guy from Live for Speed, and also done several longer than 6-hour races, several endurance races, and also known in iRacing as a quick and safe driver. And we've seen, together with Paolo Valente, these guys definitely have the endurance experience and the racing experience to, yeah, get out of these situations safely.
Gap from Dave Geeling, who we were looking at earlier, who was racing hard with Christian Aranja. That gap's now up to about 3 seconds in favour of Geeling, so he's managed to put away ever since he got past Christian, which is good, and he's now going to be trying to close down Evan Millard in the number 4 machine for second. But I do believe that Geeling and Maillard might be teammates, if I'm correct. Both in the BMW powered machines.
Yeah, they've certainly got a similar paint scheme. I think one of them's white with the colours, and one of them's a black with the stripes as well. Just looking through the Riley class, I think we're down to 20 now in Riley's, and in the Mustangs we are down to 9 runners.
Yep, and you guys said it, plenty of stuff we've seen in the past 30 minutes, and maybe it would be time to give us a quick rundown through the grid. And as we've seen severe changes in both classes, in especially the leading pack, so we should maybe see what's going on now and who's in what position.
Okay, and to start with the Daytona prototypes, as we just mentioned, Andreas Corrali is leading the race in the number 13 machine. He has a 10-second gap with the tiniest bit of change to Evan Maillard in second in the number 4 machine. Dave Geeling is running third in the number 2, closing down on second position, gap to the lead of 13.5 seconds. And in fourth position you have Christian Aranja, about 5 seconds back from P3. Blake Townsend rounds out your top 5 of Rene Coleman, Daniel Hake, Ryan Murray, Josh Hurley, and Jason Kulovic rounding up your top 10. 11 cars still on the lead lap. Sam Michaels is your first car officially 1 lap down.
And we're watching Dave, car number 2 now, Dave Jelink on in third place. We're watching him try and chase down. I think Andrews has had a bit of a wobble actually, because the gap has fallen from 2 seconds from the lead, and Dave is now 5 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, so I'll have a look back, see what happened to Andreas. But also he's into pit lane. He's in pit lane. So this is what we were talking about earlier. Even stayed out for about 3 laps longer. Now, if he does the same again, then this will be 6 laps by my record that Evan will stay out for on this stop. So, this is where Evan needs to charge.
Now he's got low fuel, maybe not the perfect tyres, but definitely he's got the shot at getting some good laps done, as his last lap has been a 1:37 there. He's already closing the gap a bit, as it was about 9 seconds before they pitted, before Kirali pitted. Maybe able to close it a bit further, as Geeling is also doing 1:13.7 here. Might shape up to be a leader's battle after all.
And as this pit sequence works out, you know, this is where a driver needs to just keep their concentration. They can see, you know, they might have gained a position, they need to keep themselves through their pit stop, and once they're out of that pit stop, you've got to be on it straight away. Yes, you might have cold tyres, and it does take about half a lap to a lap to get those tyres up to working temperature, and you've got some very tricky corners to get through on those cold tyres, but you've really got to be on it. Losing half a second here, a couple of temps in one corner, it could really all add together as you go through this stint.
37.7 for Maillard and Geeling both, and that is the times you want to see to maybe close the gap, as Town just crossed the line with a 1:38.1, about 4 tenths slower. Of course, that lap time does involve a bit of traffic, so it's definitely good lap time overall, but they do not want to lose their racing credibility for this, and do not want to risk too much just to make up time, as one severe mistake could be enough to take them out of the race completely.
And
Gap between,
sorry.
gap between Evan and Dave is now down to 2.7. I think hopefully they'll get close enough to use the draft. That might be another spanner in the works for Andrews' tactic.
And for Dave Geeling, he's actually gaining by about half a tenth over Evan per lap, who at the same time setting 1:37.7. So both of these two drivers are closing in little bit by little bit, and this is, you know, if you can hold it together and charge when you need to, then if they've got the tyres, they really could close down.
Okay then, Will. I think we have a guest in the commentators' booth. Welcome, Alex.
Hey, hello, mate. Nice to be here.
You know, I talked to you as well. Oh, sorry. Do you want me to talk?
I think
or you gonna talk?
I'll talk for the start about that.
Go
right,
ahead.
We might have to cut away in case one of the leaders comes into the pits. How was your race, Alex?
My race was a bit crazy, you know. I had a very great clean race with Samuel, but you know, I make a mistake on a downshift on the first corner and my engine was low, so I need to go out of the race, but it's not a good sensation for me, so I think I will focus on the DWC challenge.
And I mean, you did have a very strong race up until that point, and how did it to get yourself into a good position, all for it to fall apart after so much preparation and qualifying so well and getting yourself into a position where, you know, you did have a shot of winning this race?
No, I think I will focus on have fun on the race only. I don't want to win the race. So I think it's a great experience for me for have fun with some guys, without the pressure of points or, you know, the pressure of the Pro Series or.
And you are a famous black stripe as well, and in some ways, you know, this is the pre-prep for the Pro DWC series that kick off in a couple of weeks' time. And how nice is it to get back on track with some of these people you've been doing battle with for the last year or so, to get back into a situation, you know, you can race them hard and race them clean and have some fun with them? Are you still there, Alex?
It looks like he's taken a break, so we could actually focus on the interesting bit on the track as Dave Geeling is close in to Yvonne Meillard.
Dave almost had to on the grass there.
And we've jumped in right at a very, very interesting second as he's almost getting tangled up with Totava, who's now missing the brakes.
I have to ask you the question, Marius. In the position that these two drivers are now, coming up towards their final pit stop, knowing that they've got about 8 or 9 seconds to close if they're going to win the race, are these two drivers going to work together for the next few laps to close that gap?
I'm pretty sure they will. I'm pretty sure. I know that Yvonne and Dave are friends, as I'm concerned, and they've done the Premier Series last year together in the Mustang, and I'm pretty sure they'll work together just to close the gap. And yeah, that's what you want to do if you really want to have a shot at winning this. If you start fighting now in the position they are in, they might not do the best to close the gap, as especially traffic comes into play, and that only plays into the race win for Andrzej Kirali. Now 35 seconds behind, and we're going to see what of the 9-second gap they had to the lead going to stay after they've made their second pit stop.
And let's not forget, every lap they're doing means that they have to take less fuel in comparison to Andreas. So it could get to a point where they might consider not taking tyres. I know it's a very risky manoeuvre, because you could lose out on the long term, but I need to do a bit of calculation to see how long the fuel they're likely to take. But I expect these guys to be in pit lane in about 2 to 3 laps time, by my calculations, but anything can happen. I mean, they could have started on slightly lower fuel and topped up. No one knows what's going to be happening with these drivers. They keep a lot of their strategies to themselves, and in so many ways, strategy is as important a part of racing as the actual being on track itself.
Yep, And we've been talking about the traffic, and now we've got you here in the commentary booth, Alex. How is the situation? You've been on the actual track in the relay, and we've been complaining a bit about the speed difference, and it's interesting to see it from the opinion of a driver. So how have you seen the race?
The race, in my opinion, was really close in the top positions because the top drivers have the same pace. So I think the race was really close in the beginning, and in the end, now it's only 1 second gap to Dave Jelling with Evan. So I think he will finish really close.
You haven't had much.
Sorry,
trouble.
I need to interrupt you. Dave is into pit lane, and so is Even. So both of these cars are going to come down pit lane now. I said it'll be two. This is the critical point of the race for these guys. They're going to come in nose to tail, stop in their pit boxes.
And
looks like they are on
the
a
bus stop.
They are on a very on the same strategy in essence.
So this is going to be the last pit stop for these two. It looks so they probably will both come out about the same time. A couple of bits of traffic as well to navigate as soon after they come out of pit road. But
Pirelli now on start finish. Into turn 1 now.
Yeah, Andreas has got the lead back of this race.
And that gap has closed down a lot.
Definitely. Down to about 4 seconds by my watch.
Yep,
maximum.
3 to 4 seconds. That is half of the gap they had before the pit stop, and that is an amazing work by Ivan and Dave there.
And let's not forget that Ivan and Dave are nose to tail on the racetrack, so if these two want to work together now, they can definitely do so to try and close down Andreas.
Last question for you, Alex. We've been also talking about the Mustangs, and well, you've not had so much overtaking or lapping as you have been out of the race quite early. But how have you seen the situation with lapped cars and Mustangs?
Yeah, I think the Mustangs has a great behavior on with the relays. So I think there's no problem from the Mustangs for a relay when he tries to lap with a Mustang. So I think the drivers are great with the Mustang, and there's no problem with it, I think, in my opinion. If you can do a risky situation, it's good, I think.
So as you were talking there, Dave got held up dramatically by a Ford Mustang, almost lost it. You saw his car twitching a little bit as he tried to get round the inside of turn number 7. So he's lost the draft for the moment to his teammate Evan Maillard. So it'll be interesting to see whether Evan drops back a little bit to help him out, or whether he manages to close back up. But as you were just about saying, that these two will be working together as a team, unfortunately that's been put on the back burner for the next couple of laps.
Okay, I've just seen the obviously the battle with Hurley, the damage he's taken. He's limping around to the pits. He has been passed by Andreas. He's also just been passed by Evan and Dave in their battle. He's just had to cut the bus stop quite substantially to allow them to get past. And now Josh is in the pits. The battle for second place is still on. I don't know how hard they're going to push each other as they are teammates.
Well, they're closing the gap. The gap's back down to 5.4 seconds. These two have got each other to work with now. So they'll be about 6 miles an hour faster down the straightaways. So if they work together, they can close. If they can close, they can get to Andreas. And then it's a case of, do they flip a coin and say, okay, you go for the win? Or is it a case of, see, well, if one of us can do it, one of us can do it?
And we've got a pit stop. The leading Mustang, Philip Geis, is no longer leading as Scott Michaels takes back the lead, and Philip Geis is into the pits with early braking there for the last pit stop, very late. We've only got less than 30 minutes to go now, and we have to see where he exits the pits. Eric Smith is the target, who's now in 3rd position, right followed by Paolo Valente. He's not going to refuse so much, tyre change on each side, and he's got a long way to go in the pits, actually.
Yeah, gap is now down to 4.2 seconds between Evan and Andres Chiali. So I don't think they'll be able to catch him in time now, unfortunately. They're closing at a rate of about 3 tenths of a second a lap, but you haven't got laps to be able to do it anymore, unfortunately. And if they do, they'll probably have one shot in order to do it. But why don't you tweet us? Use the hashtag GlacierTV. And the question we're going to ask you is, will Andreas be able to win this race, or do you think that the combo of Evan and Dave Geelink will be able to close him down in time? That's the hashtag GlacierTV.
Yep, it will be very interesting to know what the viewers think, as well, we've seen a solid race from all three of them, and it's coming down to the last 20 minutes of the race, and I'm fortunate to see that none of them has really made big mistakes. So this will be a driver's effort if we want to see further mistakes, and 3.5 seconds isn't much, and there's a psychological thing in this. Meyer and Geerling are able to see Kirali in the lead. They are able to see him on the oval, they see what they are striving for, and that is a very important factor in the driver's head, as they just wish to focus. They are a long way into the race, more than 2 hours in the car, 2 hours of fighting, 2 hours of heavy car control, and it's coming down to the very pinnacle of the race, and they want to just give it their very best and close the gap even further.
I'll tell you what, I don't do many endurance racing on the road, but I do it on the oval side, and you get to this point where you've done, you know, 3/4 of the race, 80% of the race, and you're thinking on one hand, oh my god, I'm so tired, I just want this race to be over with. But then you see you're closing that gap ever so slightly to the car ahead of you, and you're thinking, okay, if I can do one more little push, we can do it. And I think right now that is the position that Evan's in. As I just see Paul Valente again going sideways through turn 1. His car control all race long has been absolutely amazing, with the exception of the little moment we saw earlier on. But the gap seems to stabilise and then drop dramatically. I don't know if that's traffic between Andreas and Evan, or whether it's just, you know, it's, typical road course trading of lap times. One person puts lap time in, and the person looks over and goes, oh, he's gone for me, and then pumps in a faster lap time.
I think it's just responding to gaps, to be honest with him.
Oh, hi Rob. You decided to come back.
No, I'm still here. I'm still trying to find some accidents.
So we have
30, I think. 30 out of 43 people still running.
Great, Phil. And don't forget, if you are running another 2.4 event, or you've got friends running another 2.4 event, and it's gone well or it's gone bad, let us know. You can tweet us again at GlacierTV. How is your 2.4 afternoon going on iRacing? You are watching the Top Split 2.4 World. I know over 1,100 drivers are racing simultaneously in this, the second World Tour event of the year. Next week we have possibly the biggest World Tour event of the year coming up, the iRacing Daytona 500, which, I'll tell you what, the top split race there is going to be nothing but magical. Obviously they've changed the track, so you've got the new track, the nice smooth layout. They've also changed the drafting package in the Amparo Cup car, and it'll be a big mixture of pack racing and two-car tandeming racing, just like you'll see on TV throughout speed weeks. So I'll tell you what, if you've liked today, hopefully we'll be back next week to do it all again for the Daytona 500, and it's going to be electrifying.
Yep, and whether or not we're bringing you oval or road racing, it is definitely a lot of close racing, a lot of fun, a lot of action going on in any race we've been broadcasting in the past. So we would definitely look forward to doing the Daytona 500 with you, and to give you the closest racing there is, with more than 30 cars within a second on the Daytona oval track.
And don't forget, coming up after this broadcast, we're going to take a very quick 20-minute break, and then the Talk Freak Racing Super Cup around at Suzuka will be taking place here live on Glacier TV. You'll be able to tweet all the action through TFR Super Cup for that on Twitter, and watching live the race live here on Glacier TV. I think myself, Rob, Yoni, Yano and Marius all need to go and get a couple of cans of energy drink or coffee beforehand though.
We're still in a good shape. 2.4, 2 hours 40 here is definitely a long distance, but if it comes to that good racing, that much fun, it's definitely worth to sticking onto that. And I think speaking about that, TFR Super Cup is definitely guaranteed for close racing, guaranteed for a lot of fun on the track, and guaranteed for good watching.
Up front in the DPs, the gap between 1 and 2, we've been looking at this for the last hour or so now, back up to 4.4 seconds. So with 15 minutes to go, unless Andreas makes a mistake, it does look as though he's got half of this race at least.
A couple of bit more information for you. Daniel Hake stumbled across Jan Sakaru in International Horseshoe. Don't know if there's any damage still, but the biggest news is that Dave has been was passed even. I don't know if he was let past or if even had a bit of a problem. So now Dave is leading the charge to catch Andreas.
And when we say charge, this is actual charging now. 137.8 last time by. He is literally hitting every apex he can possibly hit. That was the best I've seen anyone go through the bus stop chicane all day today. Coming up to lap another car as they come out of corner number 4 of the banking. I need to figure out what corner number 4 of the banking actually is in terms of the real track. I'll figure that one out later. But as they come down into turn number 1, he's going to get a nice little draft. Talking about Tivo a minute ago, just slotting down, almost 3 wide down the middle. And 137.4 last time by. That was a great lap there from Dave. Gap down to 3.2 seconds. He's going to have a little bit of traffic. He's going to have to go down the inside into the International Horseshoe. Just slides the car a little bit. But that was his second fastest lap of the race right there. 137.4. His fastest lap's been a 137.3. So very close to the limit for him right now.
And in front of him, you can just see him passing Daniel Hackenow. He's just left the pits after a lengthy fix-up, and he is now down in 10th. That's a very, very busy field. Okay, so now we have under 10 minutes left. It's going to look a little bit different on your display. We have about 3 minutes 30 to add on to the countdown timer, and then we'll have a look and see when the flag is shown, when the leader picks it up, and then we'll talk you through the end of the race. The gap between first and second is now down to 3.2 seconds.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I've been looking on board with Dave Geeling for the last couple of laps, and he has been nothing but pure magical. It did seem as though Evan is like, okay, I can't do any more. You know what, bro? You need to go and get him. And 138.5, so slower that last time by. He lost the 2 tenths overall, but we did see him getting involved in traffic into turn 1 and into turn 3. So good recovery on that lap. He's using the curb a lot through turn 2 as he comes into the International Horseshoe again. Perfect line this time by. He's got a slower car ahead. That is, sorry, that's not a slow car ahead, that's the leader I'm just looking at, but he's about 3 seconds ahead, so, you know, it's still a lot of charging to go, but he can see the leaders in his sight.
Yep, and maybe for the guys who've just tuned in the broadcast, we're looking at the very last minutes, about 10 minutes to go, of course that is, 7 laps maybe, 6-7 laps. And we're watching the 2.4 iRacing Daytona event, World Tour event it is. And for the explanation why we are sticking to the Daytona prototypes here, the race in the Mustang class is pretty much open and shut, as we've got Scott Michaels, number 7 Mustang, in the lead, Philip Geis in second position, all very, very secured in their own position. Eric Smith, after the little mistake from Paolo Valente, safe in third. Paolo Valente, of course, in 4th, then followed by Todd Carver in 5th, Eric Foss in 6th, and Brian Strockback in 7th. And that is most likely the order they are going to finish this race.
And I tell you what, it's going to be a case of, can Dave close enough in time? 137.5 that last time by, gap stabilised at 3.6 seconds, so Andreas is responding, so it does look as though this charge might be in vain, but I tell you what, it is great to watch these two on the racetrack at the moment. And, oh, just to see that Dave Geeling's going to be held up by a Mustang as they come out of the bus stop.
And they can't do anything about that. They just can't vanish.
You see, that was probably, you know, just a little bit of an extra lift, but that's going to affect him all the way around these banked corners onto the front stretch, past the start-finish line. We'll see how his lap time is as they come past the stripe. But I believe by my watch, we've got very few laps to go now. We've got 138.7. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned now, unless Corrali's going to make a mistake, it is, you know, game, set, and match to him. But, you know what, if you're the car behind, all you can do is charge, and hope the car in front makes a mistake. And we have seen that happen a couple of times today already.
And we have to mention, of course, you see our counter in the bottom right corner of our broadcast system. That is indicating now less than 1 minute, and we have to adjust that.
Oh, sorry, Evan Mallard, sorry, I need to interrupt you. Evan Mallard is on the grass, spinning there, coming out of the International Horseshoe. I believe he tries to come back on track, cut to cross, and connects with Sam Michaels.
What was that? Sam Michaels not aware of anything. He didn't realize that Ivan Meyer is actually on the side of him there. Just turned in and Van Meyer halfway across the grass there.
And I tell you what, after the race that Evan has, that is going to be a heartbreak for him, because he has been driving so well. And I mean, admittedly, yes, he did make a mistake himself, but then after that, as you see his car just wiggling down the backstretch, such a disappointment there. And I believe, the entire thing started with an incident with Jan Skula, and I tell you what, Evan's going to be very disappointed now.
We're going to count down the actual time to come back to that issue, as Andrzej Kirali has just crossed the finish line, of course, that is, at a time of 2 hours, 35 seconds and 20. 2 hours, 35 minutes, of course, that is, and 20 seconds, which means we have got a bit less than 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes would equal 3 or 4 laps, most likely 4, as they have to do a lap after that. And we are definitely running to finish the race. Please don't obey our counter, as that is already indicating that the race is finished.
Evans in pit lane.
We've got 4 minutes to go.
He overshoots his pit box as well, and he's using the in these endurance World Tour events, drivers get a fast toe so they can come back out onto the racetrack. It's unfortunate that Evan had to use this on pretty much 2 laps to go, but 3 laps to go possibly even so. But unfortunately about that, and
he's lost third place.
Yeah, he's lost third place. He's managed to come back out onto the racetrack. I believe that is Jason Carvalage ahead of him. So he's slotting down into 8th or 9th, I believe. A lap down, but terrible shame.
And now he's going to give it everything he's got to get the third place back. And, well, Christian Runner might be a bit surprised now that he's actually gained a position.
Yeah, you know what, sorry, I believe that Evans filtered into 5th position. I got that wrong because Jason's a lap down, so that confused me a little bit. But Evan is going to now try and use this draft provided by Jason to see whether he can get himself up to Christian and Hara. We saw these two having a great battle earlier on in the race. And you see here, Evan is just going to use that slipstream to maximum effect now onto the banking. Oval turn 3. Keep it nice and steady. Keep it on that low line as much as possible. Don't dart out until the very, very last second. And will Jason just be nice and let him have the racing line? Slow car down on the inside. It could be out of fuel we talked about earlier. Sorry, that is Zach Rubicek, I think, again in the wars.
Yep. Car severely damaged again. And talking about damage, that is the reason why Meyer had to pit. Oof, and he's running into Paolo Valente.
So close.
And Valente sideways as always. We've seen him a couple of times there. It's just most unlucky thing would be for Ivan Meyer if he hits the Mustang, but I don't want to predict that. Please don't blame it on me. And I just hope that Meyer can do the best out of this and nothing will influence his race now.
But I tell you what, that incident, Evan managed to probably just gain about 3-4 tenths because of it, and that's going to mean that if he can get a good run out of this banking, he can set himself up so that coming out of the bus stop, he'll get into the draft. And this is where it's going to be a case of, has he got enough time?
Andrzej Kirali leading car in the 2.4 hours of Daytona here, crossing the line for the second last time. 2 laps to go for him. Second last lap of 2 hours and 40 minutes of racing. 3.8 seconds. Dave Gilling, second position here, followed by the Christian Arana, Ivan Meyer pack for third place. And that is what we're going to stick with as...
he's got the draft now.
It does not look like Dave Gilling is going to catch Kirali, so we're going to show you Meyer versus Aranha here for the last couple of minutes.
He's got the draft. He's definitely got the draft. Whether or not he's got the time to make a move, though. And you see, what's going to happen now is... Yeah, down to the... Oh, he's pitting!
And he has to pit!
Oh, I heard...
Arana would run out of fuel!
I heard him talk about this earlier. He said he didn't have enough fuel to finish.
And that's going to bring Townend into fourth!
I knew he said that he didn't have enough fuel to finish. I didn't know if he was saving fuel that entire run. But he's going to have to take a splash and dash with 1 lap to go.
And he misses his pit stop. That is just outstanding. We're in the less than 5 minutes to go, and this is what is happening. Blake Townend has jumped Christian Arana for 4th position as the runner was running out of fuel and he had to pit. And that is making even
just glances the wall there, Christian. Don't know if that damaged his car, but just glance the outside retaining wall there, pit lane.
That's not going to matter. That is, he is definitely secure in that position now, and he's just going to bring it home safe. As he's passing Zach Rubček, whose car is damaged again.
You said that just as you were going around Zach Rubček, and we know he's been in the water a little bit the last half an hour.
And we're going back to Andrew Skibberley, who is now entering the last lap of the race. 2 hours... Oh no, he's not actually entering the last lap, is he? That could have been the last lap. It's a bit difficult to actually see.
I believe that is the end, if I'm right.
He has finished the race, that is correct. And that makes Andrew Skibberley the winner of the 2012 2.4 hours of Daytona event.
Yeah, sorry about that again. We keep on having these issues, but we will sort that one out. But I tell you what, Dave Gieling, a tremendous drive to finish in 2nd position. We're going to look at Evan Maliard now, who somehow, magically, despite the fact that he was involved in an incident, is still going to come home 3rd. Christian Arana is going to come home in... No, actually, sorry, I think Blake Townsend will come home in 4th. Christian, in 5th. And then we'll wait for the rest of the results to filter through. I believe it'll be Jason Carvadage in 6th. Renz Brokeman, he's had a tremendous drive. I believe he had a disconnect or an accident early on in the race, will come home 7th. Timo Liverman 8th. Daniel Haken 9th. Sam Michaels 10th. Oliver Amos 11th. Jacob Desmaris in 12th. Jan Skukla in 13th. Rene Coleman in 14th. Zach Rubček in 15th. Jim Shadlick 16th, Nick Johnson, Ryan Murray, Uka Alauto, and Josh Hurley round out your top 20.
And not to underrate this, the Mustangs, Scott Michaels, with an enormously amazing race, winning with about half a lap of gap to Philip Geis, who's also done a very, very great race. Definitely the best pit strategy I've seen out there. 2 long stints, short last stint, securing him the 2nd position there. Eric Smith, after the mistake from Paolo Valente, secure in 3rd. Then Valente, who's most driving this like a drift car most of the race. So we've seen him more sliding than actually going straight. Todd Carver now crossing the finish line, also a very sophisticated race, 5th position for him, followed by Eric Voss, who is then a lap down, together with Brian Stropback in 7th, Vasily Zaitsev in 8th, Russell Clayson in 9th, and that is going to round up the Mustangs as we are going to start the do not finish cars from there on. 30 cars it is actually finished, and we've got 9 Mustangs and 20 Rileys finishing the race unharmed.
And as we said so many times today, a great job by all. As you just see there, Evan Maliard and Dave, the 2 teammates there, just giving themselves a little bit of a friendly bump draft down the backstretch as they go 3 wide with other cars, you know, just cruising down, chilling out. They survived the 2.4 hours. In Evan's case, survived the 2.4 hours and a wreck, and still managed to come home 3rd. So, while on one hand they'd have a little bit of disappointment that they didn't get the win, 2nd and 3rd for that team is still a very, very good result.